So in doing the theory of everything, it's really, in my opinion, just combining, like I was just talking about, like the particle physics and astrophysics, which is in putting it all together, because in particle physics we've referred to the forces as a strong and weak nuclear force, which is the same thing essentially as the electromagnetic forces. And then so like you just combine those two, and once you work everything out, which should be really easy, I think it's already done really, once you work those out, like you take away a couple forces, and in understanding what I've been explaining about the repelling effect and the pulling of electromagnetism, we understand that better now. You know, we can do the math and particle physics for the enrichment of uranium. Like we can understand that uranium is essentially the same thing as was plutonium, right? Where it gets enriched, right? So like it's the same thing, just the plutonium has been enriched, so it's going through the burning phase where it's releasing electrons because the mass is being so hyperstimulated that it's releasing. So like I don't know how to break it down any more simple than that, but I probably have to revisit the subject. But electromagnetism is just a strong and weak nuclear force, and gravity is just a combination of the two of them, right? How they interact, the forces on the magnetism. Like you can look at it as like the force of gravity is the electrified, rock or metals rather at the Earth's core, right? Like lava is electrified, and that probably has a pull and other things in there too. You know, I was just thinking today, actually, I was watching an old video of mine, and when you got points, like if you have an energy point, where there would be like something down there, like, and that's another thing to talk about for another day, but like you can look around just certain parts of the on the Earth where there's a tendency for a buildup to be. That's because there's mass there. So where that mass is, energy is going to flow differently around it, which might be like the reason for the brain fart. The underground rivers, the things in the ocean currents and stuff like that. Bad brain fart there. But reason for that. But that's another video for another day. Kind of cutting it short on time here. But strong weak nuclear force is just electromagnetism, and we can start compiling them together now that we understand it better through, like I said, the repelling effect, and through the electromagnetic waves and fields around the planets and stars. And combining, like I talked about in the past about energy fields, how they wrap around and come down, maybe that's part of why they're there, or why the planets kind of align on that. Because one thing we have to do is figure out why the rings of Saturn and why the rings of Uranus are there and a constant, right? Because Uranus is flipped, but it's still isolated. Like those rings are there because of the planet, the core energy. So we can evaluate how strong and how big the core is because of that. And that's because probably fields are wrapping around and connecting right there, and the fields are unique to those areas. So that should help in doing the singularity math as well too, in a more advanced stage. But that understands kind of gravity, and combining the gravity from the large scale to the small scale. You don't get those types of effects so much with particles, because they're just attracted mainly and want to balance out with hydrogen, aka water, or the noble gases, and balance out that way. So they just act different because they're smaller, but it's really the same action and reactions that are happening. Okay guys, have a good one.